possible Iranian drone attacks on our homeland. A new alert reviewed by ABC News revealing Iran's aspirations to conduct a surprise attack specifically against unspecified targets in California. The FBI saying it's warned police departments across the Golden State now of strikes by unmanned aerial vehicles or drones as tensions rise in the Middle East. Let's get straight to our chief investigative correspondent, Aaron Kantersky. Aaron, what are you learning?
We've reviewed an alert that came within the last couple of weeks, Kira, just recently from the FBI to law enforcement agencies up and down the California coastline, warning that Iran is aspiring now to perhaps launch some kind of a retaliatory attack on the U.S. mainland using drones on the West Coast. The alert that we reviewed said an uncorroborated report suggested that unidentified Mexican cartel leaders had authorized attacks using drones carrying explosives, so they know that capability exists. And the separate alert that we've reviewed, Kira, says that Iran has those same kinds of aspirations. So the U.S. has broadly known for some time that drones could be deployed against the homeland. We know that Iran has been using drones significantly in this 12-day-old war with the United States. That's what killed the first 6 U.S. service members in this war. But now the FBI is specifically warning police agencies in California along the Pacific coastline that Iran is aspiring to use them to attack in the West.
Well, as you can see, Iran is exploring its options, and they are now expanding past asymmetrical war, and it looks like they're trying to go in for the kill. Now, y'all know when I first started covering this particular war, I told you if they were to hit anywhere in America, it would be the West Coast. And it's been confirmed that those threats are out there. Now, brothers and sisters, this war is getting very expensive for America. And I'm pretty sure that our defenses are not what they should be. I want y'all to understand, $10 billion in 10 days. Brothers and sisters, that's $1 billion every 24 hours. That's $41 million per hour. That's $11,000 every second since this war been going on. So America's bleeding out. And there's been a lot of developments today. And Trump, he has his back against the wall. He's already blaming his son-in-law for convincing him to go to war. Trump is all over the place. And you can tell that Trump has completely regretted his decision to go to war with Iran. But we're going to chop it up, man. I got some sources we got to go to. Oh, man, we got to chop it up. The sleeper cells are being activated. It is getting real out there, brothers and sisters. So y'all know how we do. We're going to get into it. Let's go.
They working against us. They hate our souls. They hate us. They hate our righteous indignation. They hate the exhortation that dwells in us. They hate our love. They hate our conviction. They hate the fact that we repentant. They hate the fact that we truthful, honest, and bold. They hate our courage. Them devils hate us. We're not finna line ourselves up with these weirdos and freaks, with these weirdos and freaks. They working against us. They hate our souls. Weirdos and freaks. But these weirdos and freaks, they working against us. They hate our souls. Nubreed.
Ephesians 6:10. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord, and in the power of his might put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand. Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked, and take the helmet of salvation, and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints.
Welcome back, everyone. Brothers and sisters, you know that I have been giving y'all detailed breakdowns on this whole war since day one. And I'm going to continue to keep you up to date because prophecy is unfolding. The truth is coming to the light. A lot of people are learning to get out of their place of comfort and begin to prepare for the times that we're living in. There's another awakening taking place right now. And information is power right now because there's an overload of fictitious information going forth that will lead you and steer you the wrong direction. So, you know, it's been placed on my heart to continue to cover what's going on in Iran as well as worldwide, because this is global truth. And if you're new to the platform, welcome. Be prepared to be edified and informed. You know, Iran has made it very clear that its leadership does not intend on surrendering or de-escalating under any circumstances or pressure. Iranian officials have rejected ceasefire discussions. They have pretty much stood 10 toes down, and they have promised retaliation against America and all Americans' interest across all regions of the world. So neither side looks like they're slowing down, but one side is showing weakness and the other side isn't. So, you know, America happened to be on the wrong side of this one. I personally do not agree with the war. I do not agree with starting war with a sovereign country of any sort, especially if there's no existential threat. And the more we see these escalations take place, the more we can see there was no real threat. Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump, they've been lollygagging. They've been up with the shenanigans, and it's looking bad for America. Now, we got to get into some sources, brothers and sisters, because Donald Trump is already shifting blame. He's not taking any accountability. And you can tell he regrets even starting the war. He regrets even starting it. So let's get into that. Trump says that his decision was based on what Jared Kushner told him. He said, I thought Iran would attack us. So not his intelligence agencies, his son-in-law. So he got people in his ear saying, you know what, if we don't get them, they're going to go get us. Well, even Donald Trump saying this to the public is a sign of weakness and regret. Peep this, y'all.
Steve and Jared, and
one moment.
In my opinion, based on what Steve and Jared and Pete and others were telling me, Marco, so involved, that I thought that they were going to attack us. I thought they would, if we didn't do this at the time we did it, I think they had in mind to attack us. And in my opinion, based on what Steve and Jared and Pete and others were telling me.
You know, Trump has been saying, in my opinion, an awful lot. And, you know, he doesn't have expert opinion. And that's what we got to understand. He's just listening to people around him. And for those who are not really familiar with who his son-in-law is, just like everyone else that Trump gets close to, he gives them this high-ranking position in government. Recently, he just gave Erica Kirk a position in government, and I mean a position over military, some military position overseeing military actions. Like, only thing she is someone who's supposed to be a grieving wife. So Trump, he gets these people around him and he puts them in positions of power, and it ended up backfiring because this is just people chopping it up in his ear. There's no real expert opinions. There's no real agencies coming forth telling him to do the things he's doing. And so Jared Kushner, same thing. Let me look up his position real quick because I had this for y'all. Jared Kushner is, let me see, Trump hired him to do something. One moment. Yeah, you know, he got too many people trying to influence him that don't have no business influencing him. You know, they say that Kushner is not a military official, yet he has a big influence on Middle Eastern policy. They link him having financial ties and relationships with governments in that pretty much in that region. So Trump pretty much hired him and was convinced by him. So it's no real central intelligence advice. All right. Now, yeah, they unqualified. I mean, but this is how Iran is coming across.
Our nuclear facilities, but they couldn't destroy our nuclear program because it is a technology, advanced and developed by ourselves. They have also attacked our missile, facilities, but they have not been able to stop firing missiles against themselves. So the firings continues, and we are prepared. We are well prepared to continue attacking them with our missiles as long as needed and as long as it takes. Our nuclear facilities, but they couldn't destroy our nuclear program.
So look, he said they might have destroyed some facilities, but they didn't destroy our nuclear program. And Iran says we don't plan on letting up, and we're going to continue to attack. So this war is not going to end until one country is pretty much done. That's just what it's going to boil down to. Now, how long that may take, we don't know. How far is done, we don't know that yet either. Let's go.
Because it is a technology, advanced and developed by ourselves. They have also attacked our missile, facilities, but they have not been able to stop firing missiles against themselves. So the firings continues, and we are prepared. We are well prepared to continue attacking them with our missiles as long as needed and as long as it takes. Our nuclear,
as long as needed and as long as it takes. This is what type of time they on right now.
In my opinion, based on what Steve and Jared and Pete and others were telling me, Marco, so involved, that I thought that they were going to attack us. I thought they would, if we didn't do this at the time we did it, I think they had in mind to attack us. And in my opinion.
So Trump made a fatal mistake.
Here's how the World War III draft is going to work. Number one, registration age, 18 to 25. Men in the U.S. must register with the Selective Service System when they turn 18. This only puts their name in the system. Number two, Draft must be approved. A draft only starts if Congress and the president approves it during a major war or national emergency, which is basically happening right now. Number 3, lottery picks who goes first. Birthdays are drawn randomly. The birthdays picked first are called first for evaluation. Number 4, screening process. Those selected go through medical, mental, and background checks. Many people are rejected here. Number 5, military training. Anyone who qualifies is sent to basic training before being assigned a military job. Here's how the World War III draft is going to work. Number 1, register.
So, we have to talk about this because the possibility of this draft is becoming a lot more relevant day by day. And here's the thing, we don't operate in a spirit of fear. We know that the Most High is protecting his people. I do not recommend that anybody voluntarily goes and fights this war, especially melanated people. The times of being cannon fodder for these folks should be over at this point. It's about that time where Americans really take to the streets and show just how much they don't want the war. And, but that's not going to happen. The same way you see Iranians outside protesting in unison for the war is the same way we should see our citizens protesting against the president's decisions. Because, brothers and sisters, the power is in the people. The people just don't understand that they have the power. That's the issue in America. They've used so much brainwashing techniques and psychological warfare to stagnate and completely disenfranchise us as a nation that people are just docile. People are docile. So look, even though no American citizens believed in this war, unfortunately, our sons and daughters are at jeopardy of being drafted. But these millionaires, they're not doing it. They're not sending. Barron Trump is not going to war. Prime Minister Netanyahu's son is not getting drafted. The Rothschilds and all of those PDFs that's on them Epstein files, their children are not being drafted. Matter of fact, these are the cannibals, the psychopaths, and the demented. And we still paying them taxes. Just to show you how the spirit of the people are defeated. It is what it is. These billionaires and millionaires, you can fit them all in one room. You can literally put them all in one room, and it's just a bunch of decrepit, tore down, unseasoned chicken breasts sitting up in there with no real energy or no real life force, but they got the resources. That is the reality of the situation. A bunch of unseasoned chicken cutlets, old roasted up chicken cutlets, it's sitting around a round table plotting world domination. A bunch of Satanists, a bunch of Vikings, a bunch of warlords. Thank you for the support, Gladiator. I appreciate it. I'm telling you.
I knew oil prices would go up if I did this, and they've gone up probably less than I thought they'd go up. But I don't think anybody thought we were going to be this quickly successful. This was a military success, the likes of which people haven't seen. I knew oil prices would go up if I did this, and they've gone up probably less than I thought they.
Yo, Trump didn't know anything. This man is an idiot, an absolute imbecile. He doesn't know anything. Trump is a puppet. And he likes to act like he's in control and knows what's going on. That man didn't know nothing, y'all. He is just doing what his predecessors command him to do. He didn't know oil prices was going to go up. He thought that we were going to completely railroad Iran. This is the same president that didn't know he was the president of Puerto Rico. This is the same president that was throwing paper towels talking about y'all got to get y'all president to help y'all. He don't know nothing about geography. He don't know nothing about what's going on in the world. He couldn't even point to a map and show you where Iran is at. Let's be 100% about that. He don't know nothing about their history, none of that. This is a controlled clown, just like RJ said in the chat. And they needed a buffoon like this to really get Babylon thrown under the table and become the scapegoat that it was always meant to be. Telling you now.
They'd go up. But I don't think anybody thought we were going to be this quickly successful. This was a military success, the likes of which people haven't seen. We have I knew
this is nowhere near been a success. Nowhere near been a success.
Why did President Trump say yesterday that Iran may have Tomahawk missiles when there are only 3 other US allies plus the US that have those missiles and therefore could...
Look, again, as the president said yesterday, he will accept the conclusion of this investigation by the Department of War. I know there's been a lot of speculation in the media about who may be responsible for this. We're not going to get ahead of the Department of War and the conclusion of that investigation. The president has a right to share his opinions with the American public, but he has said he'll accept the conclusion of that investigation. And frankly, we're not going to be harassed by the New York Times, who's been putting out a lot of articles on this, making claims that have just not been verified by the Department of War, to quickly wrap up this investigation because the New York Times is calling on us to do so.
Why did President Trump say yesterday that Iran may have Tomahawk missiles when there are only 3 other...
You see how Caroline Leavitt just always, no matter what, glazing Trump. But listen to how many times she said that Trump is just going to take the advice from the Department of War. Whatever the Department of War concludes regarding the bombing of these little girls, Trump is just going to go with that. Whatever the Department of War concludes in their investigation, in their private investigation, that none of us in the public will ever see, the Pentagon, that used to be the Pentagon, now they named it the Department of War because why? For the remainder of the time that America will be here, it will need a Department of War. Why? It's going to be in constant conflict, which means America is no longer even considered a civilization. I put that in quotations. It's a war machine. America has officially become a war machine for all its constituents. And this is insane, y'all, but this is America. This is America. That's why the threats are real now. This is why the threats are real.
Breaking fuck the news. The FBI has given warning to the state of California of a possible large drone attack that could take place by the Iranian government. I had to figure out, I've been researching this for the last hour, how the fuck would this even be possible? Apparently they're saying that Iran would have a ship off the coast or near California and then launch thousands of drones into California for a possible attack. I'm not fucking around. I just read that, but I'll keep you updated with more. Breaking fuck the news. The FBI has...
Yeah, look, here's the thing. Iran does not have the capability of sending a missile far enough to hit America. So they've been fighting asymmetrical warfare, being tacticianers, tearing America up by hitting key bases all over the Middle East. And also, Iran threatened to put some type of bombs in the border Hormuz, the Strait of Hormuz, to ruin oil supply even more. So, mind you, The Strait of Hormuz is already shut down, which is spiking these prices up. But they looking like, look, we can do this permanently. This is how far Iran is willing to go to tear down America. But now the threat is real that it may be something coming to the West Coast. If they were to be able to make a missile or a drone or anything, geographically speaking, it would be California. It would be the West Coast. It would be the West Coast. And we've been saying that from the beginning.
This is breaking news. American officials are concerned that Iranian sleeper cells could be activated as the war here in the Middle East continues on. The FBI director says they're trying to stay ahead of it with their counterterrorism teams operating at the highest level of alertness. This is breaking news. American officials are concerned that Iranian sleeper cells could be activated as the war here in the Middle East continues on. The FBI director says they're trying to stay ahead of it with their counterterrorism teams operating at the highest level of alertness.
So, the FBI is letting us know that, hey, the sleeper cells are going to be coming out. Now, we don't even know if some of these attacks will be some type of, what do I want to call this? False flag. That's what I want to call it. We don't know if some of these attacks will be false flag attacks set up by America, because they're known to do that. They're known to do that to set up certain agendas. And we don't know if some of these will be real. But nonetheless, we do know under the Biden administration, there was a whole lot of military-age Middle Eastern men who were allowed over here with no families. We know that to be a fact. So America, the threat of this reaching America is becoming more real every day. And meanwhile, while the FBI is saying what they're saying, you got Trump just saying, hey, some people are going to die in America. We're going to have some casualties. Instead of him being the leader saying, look, we're working our best, we're doing what we do, we're going to protect our citizens, Trump is like, look, some Americans are going to die. So, yeah, some of the stuff may be staged to try to, promote some type of fear or whatever the case is. Maybe they want to set up checkpoints. There's a lot going on. So, of course, I'm going to keep you up to date on this, but let's continue. Let's continue. One moment.
Donald Trump just responded to new intelligence that suggests Iran is about to deploy mines throughout the Strait of Hormuz, effectively shutting it down completely. This would be catastrophic for gas prices. He says if Iran has placed any mines in the Hormuz Strait, we want them removed immediately. If for any reason mines were placed and they have not been removed forthwith, the military consequences to Iran will be at a level never seen before. If, however, they've removed what has been placed, it would be a giant step in the right direction. Then he mentions that they're using the same technology and missile capabilities deployed against the traffickers to prematurely eliminate any boat or ship attempting to mine the Hormuz Strait.
Now, mind you, the Strait of Hormuz, it belongs to Iran. They're saying that they're going to place mines around it. Trump's response is, well, look, y'all bet not do it. If y'all do it, we're gonna have a way of stopping y'all from doing, basically costing us even more with oil. It ain't nothing they can do. It ain't nothing America can do. If they're really placing bombs around the Strait of Hormuz, there's nothing America can do about that. Don't believe the hype. Let's go.
Then why is he worried about it? Just one day ago, shortly before the stock market closed, coincidentally, Donald Trump told us the war with Iran was about to end. However, now it seems like it's just getting started. If naval mines do end up getting deployed throughout the Hormuz Strait, which Iran has done in the past, by the way, that would mean no ship can safely pass, even if they get an escort from our Navy, which Donald Trump said was going to happen. Donald Trump just responded to new intelligence that suggests Iran is about to deploy mines throughout the Strait of Hormuz, effectively shutting it down completely. This would be catastrophic for gas prices. He says if Iran has placed any...
See, this is real. And see, another major factor that people are beginning to realize is just how expensive and complex that war is altogether. You know, this could be, if this continues, the United States have already spent billions of dollars in military operations in just 10 days. Historically speaking, wars tend to become way more expensive and last longer. You know, military assets, they start to spread across several parts of the Middle East. More nations are going to get involved because of that. And this is how it will evolve from a regional conflict to something way more major. This is the reason why other countries is going to get involved. You know, because the financial, military, and geopolitical consequences are going to unfold at that point, because the move that Iran is making, talking about putting mines in the Strait of Hormuz, that's like a dog whistle. That's like, look, if y'all don't come and join this, everybody gonna get, listen, everybody finna take a loss. That's a dog whistle to all its allies. Do you understand what I'm saying? They're putting mines in the Strait of Hormuz, which provide more than 40% of the world's oil. Oil is the lifeblood of the world. So what they're essentially doing is saying, hey, we're going to put mines right there. Who going to stop us? So y'all better step up and get America to bag back. Y'all better step up, get America and Israel to bag back. That's what they're doing right now. You know? So it's a warning in itself. They saying that some imminent attacks could come on the West Coast. We're going to see how that pans out. But the threat is getting real day by day. Understand that. Let's continue.
Toronto, where Toronto police say someone has fired shots at the U.S. consulate in the downtown. Our Megan Fitzpatrick is there on the scene at the U.S. consulate. Megan, what can you tell us?
Well, a big police presence here, David, surrounding the U.S. consulate, which is the building right behind me. You can see the police tape and several police vehicles parked there, including a forensic identification unit. Police were called to the U.S. consulate around 5:30 this morning.
Trust me, stick with me on this. So the U.S. intelligence sees Canada as a serious place of concern for Iranian activity. This is from a national security analyst. And if you go back to last year, CSIS, our own spy agency, they foiled a potentially lethal threat by Iran. And a few years before that, in 2023, the RCMP responded to revelations about the Iranian foreign interference happening in Canada. He said, the FBI told me that the same group who are trying to kidnap me on U.S. soil are the same group from the Revolutionary Guards in Iran trying to harass, kidnap, and kill Canadians. So that was back in 2023. Now fast forward to today. This was just last week. An Iranian mathematician is missing in Canada, may have been targeted by Tehran. This is what activists are saying. Now, police are saying that Masood was most likely murdered. Iranian expats suspect he was killed for his criticism of the theocratic regime. Now, this isn't me that's telling you this. This is a former CIA agent. He's concerned about sleeper cells, especially amid the war that's happening in Iran. And just last year, our former Minister of Justice, Erwin Kotler, warned that Iran may have activated sleeper cells in Canada. Guys, this is no longer a situation we can ignore. It's real. It's very real. You're not going to believe this, but there's
situational awareness. Stay out of large crowds, large gatherings. As the summertime come in, you know, look out on Independence Day. Watch out for the cookouts. Watch out for parades and festivals. because it's going to get real this summer. It's going to be a wild summer, and even if it's a false flag, they're going to already have the script written to get these things to pop off without anybody second guessing it. That's for sure. So you got to move wise out here. You got to be very much mindful and watchful of your surroundings, and understand that America is at war right now. So you can expect war. You can expect war things to happen. You understand me? You know, we just can't be out here face down in the phone out in public all the time and not being locked into our surroundings. All right. Let's see.
U.S. intelligence has found evidence that Iran is placing mines in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has these small, high-speed boats where they can carry 2 to 3 mines at a time, and they're placing them throughout the strait. And they have the capabilities to deploy them quickly. Now, Iran is said to have thousands of these mines. These naval mines are not only produced in Iran, but also in Russia and China. Now, Trump had gotten wind of this, and he posted on Truth Social, if Iran is placing these mines in the Strait of Hormuz, he wants them removed immediately, in caps. He said if they're not removed forthwith, the military consequences to Iran will be at a level never seen before. About 13 minutes later, Trump posted, 13 minutes later, sometimes when you're trying to report something and share information, it hits you. And it's just incredibly mind-boggling that some of these things come from a U.S. president. But 13 minutes later, he shared in a Truth Social post that within the last few hours, we have hit and completely destroyed 10 inactive mine-laying boats. So that's what he said.
Donald Trump lying, bro.
But 13 minutes prior, he wasn't sure that they even existed, and these intelligence reports have just come out. So I will keep you updated on all of these things.
And see, that's why it's so crazy in America, because you got a president that's a damn pathological liar. And that's what makes it so wild, man. You got this ignoramus up in the White House. You got this piggy in the White House just lying. So you can't believe nothing he say. You can't believe nothing the news stations say that promote him. I mean, he just be saying stuff, y'all. So you got to watch WION news for real, for real.
The U.S. is spending $10,000 a second.
It's 11,000 now.
With the war in Iran, and they spent over $3 billion in the first 100 hours. This includes firing off Tomahawk missiles literally every 30 minutes. Those are $1 million per missile. Also, who could forget the 3 fighter jets that we lost the other day because they were either shot down by the Iranians or friendly fire? If you want to monitor the situation and have a dashboard of literally everything going on with the Iran war, you can do so like this with Emergent AI. You can build apps, websites, or something like this. To build whatever you want to build, go to app.emergent.sh. The U.S. spent $350,000 while we were watching this video. The U.S. is spending...
That's crazy when you think about how much money they spending. I mean, look, let me show you why you can't trust Trump. Hold on real quick. Let me just share with y'all something. How many of y'all have seen this? We're going to go back to the sources, but how many of y'all have just seen Trump's parents? They just don't even look human. They look like they just not of this planet, bro. I mean, this is real Men in Black stuff. I'm just saying, we're gonna go back. We're gonna go back, but I'm just saying, like, who created these people? I'm just saying. I had to do it. That's why I can't trust them. They look like they was made out of a damn wax museum. And it's like, what hell rock have they crawled on? They look like hellhounds. Like Trump's dad was Satan and his mother was a jackal. I mean, hey, look, y'all don't get mad at me, damn it. We could take a minute and crack some jokes. Let me get back to the sources. But y'all can't tell me that his mom and dad don't look like they were hatched. They don't look like they were born. They look like they were hatched. These are test tube babies. I'm talking about this looked like nightmare fuel. Good gracious. I'm just saying, man. And this ain't AI. This ain't AI. It looked like they crawl out of the fifth dimension. They look ominous. They look like they were spawned. They wasn't born or hatched. They were spawned. This is telling you, this is the draconian bloodline. I'm just saying, man. Straight up meat suits, nightmare fuel. Anyway, look, I didn't mean to even go there, man. Sometimes you just got to take a break in the action because it's like, yo, who made these people? Where did they come from? Like, I'm not buying that they're humans. I'm just not buying it.
Spending $10,000.
Damn seed of Satan. I'm telling you. One moment.
So Americans are constantly told that countries like Iran are just illiterate, backward societies. But that's simply not true. In fact, Iran actually has a youth literacy rate of about 98 to 99%, meaning almost every young person can read and write in their country.
Yo, somebody said they were summoned, though. Man, come on, man. They were summoned. Oh, man, y'all wild, man. Y'all crazy.
Not only that, but they produce hundreds of thousands of STEM graduates every year, and they rank among the top countries that produce the most engineers in all of the world. So their students regularly win medals in the International Mathematics Olympia.
Oh, yeah. See, Iran is a lot ahead of the game than we think. Somebody said you sound mad. No, I'm not mad. I just, listen, I don't like incompetency. And this is what it is for me. This is what gets me, right? Personally, what bothers me is I know that our peoples are supposed to be leading. I know that the righteous are supposed to be leading the world. And I'm not mad at what's happening because I know prophecy is going to fulfill itself and the Most High's people, we're going to be set free out of all this. But what it is I'm disappointed and I'm disgusted that the world has gotten to this point. So what you may be hearing out of my voice is the fact that we're being ruled over. We're being ruled over by lesser beings. You understand? That's what you're hearing. You're hearing disgust. Like, you got these people who are the scum of the earth, and they are the scum of the earth. You can look on the files and see that these people are sick and demented, but they're still running the world and they're spinning the world into chaos. So that's what you're hearing coming from me. I know what the scriptures say. I bring out a lot of the scriptures in my live streams tonight. We didn't really go into too many scriptures because I'm just trying to give y'all an update of what's happened. But however, most of the time we going through chapter and verse. However, just like the scriptures say, be ye angry and sin not. Let's go. Yeah, they some draconians. We got to expose these draconians, man. And they think Iran is not really built to last. Iran is 5,000 years old. America is just a few hundred years old. Stop it.
One of the hardest math competitions on earth. Moreover, about 60% of their youth attend universities, with women making up a huge share of their STEM fields. So, whatever political disagreements exist between these two nations, understand this: Iran is not a nation of illiterate people. It's a highly educated society with serious scientific and mathematical talent. Shalom. So, American.
Straight up. Straight up.
We seem to be on a path toward deploying American troops on the ground in Iran. Is also, as disturbingly as anything else, the specter of active Russian aid to Iran, putting in danger American lives. Literally, Russia seems to be aiding our enemy. We seem to be on.
Yeah, Russia is aiding your enemy because they're allies with Iran. You know, and America is sending the threats of sending ground troops. Iran already said they're ready for that. They want all that kind of smoke. They want all that kind of smoke. Why? Because they fight guerrilla warfare. They know the terrain. They know how those hills. They know how to hide amongst those hills. Like, look, go ahead and listen. Go ahead and send your sons and daughters. And I'm talking about those people in the White House and those people who really want this war. Send your sons and daughters, and I guarantee they leaving in body bags. Straight up.
On a path toward deploying American troops on the ground in Iran. Is also, as disturbingly as anything else, the specter of active Russian aid to Iran, putting in danger American lives. Literally, Russia seems to be aiding our enemy. We seem.
Yeah, man, and it ain't gonna stop. America, listen, America's beginning to become an irritant to the other nations.
This is some breaking news. Things just took a turn for the worse in Iran. Multiple outlets are reporting that Iran has now begun putting mines in the Strait of Hormuz. They possess over 5,000 mines that they could fill the strait with, disrupting oil from being transferred from the Gulf nations. It appears as though Trump overplayed his hand, and this could have devastating effects on the world. This is some breaking news. Things just took a turn for the worse in Iran. Multiple outlets are.
And so, no, things took a turn for the worse for the world, the global economy. That's what it took a turn for the worse for, the global economy. Straight up.
Donald Trump's senior advisors are now telling him to get out of Iran because the war is backfiring on him in a major way.
The problem is he can't, because he's in the Epstein files. So he has to wage this war.
Donald Trump's
boom. And that's what it all boils down to, y'all. He can't just stop the war right now because, y'all, I'm going to tell y'all, within the last 2 days, Trump has been implicated in some of the most horrendous acts towards minors. Your president is in there being accused of doing the unthinkable. I'm talking about heinous crimes against underage girls, heinous stuff. And nobody's talking about it. Matter of fact, Google released some info showing its searches. They said that since this war, the search for Epstein files went down 85%. Y'all know what replaced it? The Iranian war. Searches went down on Google 85%. They had to go to war. Why? Because the Epstein files was dominating the search engines. dominating mainstream media. And the truth is, they really can't arrest Trump because if you arrest him, you're going to be arresting everyone. Haven't y'all heard? Word on the streets is through let me figure out which agency it is. I want to say it's the CIA or FBI, one of them, right? They just found a bunch of kitty corn. They found a bunch of kitty corn all over the computers. Kitty corn. That's right. Images, videos, it's the entire system. It's the entire Babylonian system. They're all satanic. They're all satanic. Everything us conspiracy theorists been saying for all this time is true. Now, let me get that right. Let me make sure I'm telling y'all which agency they found all that filth. About to tell y'all right now, because it was small news coverage on it, but it's real. Several different law enforcement agencies have been involved in child, you know what, FBI. Hold on. Let me see. I don't think they're answering this right. Let me see. I'm telling you, man, it's sick. It's sick. And it's really about the files. This whole war should be called the Epstein War. It should be called the Epstein War. I mean, I might even have that news source where they found this stuff. It was in one of these damn agencies. They found all this. It was on the news. Yeah, it's on mainstream news. It's on mainstream news. I'll look it up real quick. It's on there. So, I mean, I don't know if y'all been looking. It's a major institution. But let's continue, though. We're going to get to that. And if y'all know which agency, y'all listed in the chat. If you know, if you've been looking at what's going on in the news, let me know. I absorb a lot of information on a daily. But we'll look that up. Yeah, this stuff is getting real.
Pay attention and listen, because the United States Chairman Dan Kane openly admits that Iran is adapting to their attacks. Look.
They're adapting, as are we. Of course, we have very entrepreneurial warfighters out there. I'd rather not, for operational security reasons, tell them what's working. So I'm not answer that question based on that. But we are watching what they're doing, and we are adapting faster than they are.
Are they more formidable than you anticipated, General?
I mean, I think they're fighting, and I respect that, but I don't think they're more formidable than what we thought.
Pay attention and listen, because the United States Chairman Dan Kane openly admits that Iran is adapting to their attacks. Look.
They're adapting, as are we. Of course, we have very entrepreneurial warfighters out there. I'd rather...
Yeah, Iran is adapting. Because, see, what America failed to realize is that Iran been preparing for this for thousands of years. You know, Iran has been watching what they done to Muammar Gaddafi, Saddam Hussein, Osama bin Laden. And you can't think that Iran was just sitting there twiddling their thumbs while the war machine was going on a conquest. You can't think that. You can't be blind enough to believe that. Yeah. Yeah, the Americans, they're not sounding too strong no more.
The one part that seems clear is that while there is no money for 15 million Americans who lost their health care, There's $1 billion a day to spend on bombing Iran. This is not a war the American people want us to engage in. No more money. The one thing Congress has the power to do is to stop actions like this through the power of the purse. The one part that seems clear is that while there is no money for 15 million Americans who lost their health care, there's $1 billion a day to spend on bombing Iran.
Exactly. Americans ain't got health care, ain't got jobs, but they got money to be bombing somebody who was never a threat under false pretenses. Yep, somebody said Iran is low-key showing a ton of class in this war. They really are. I mean, they're out strategizing.
This is not a war the American people want us to engage in.
That's right.
No more money. The one thing Congress has the power to do is to stop actions like this through the power of the purse. The one part that seems...
Yep, she's right. She's absolutely right.
The president had a feeling, again, based on fact, that Iran was going to strike the United States, was going to strike our assets in the region, and he made a determination to launch Operation Epic Fury based on all of those reasons. And the president had a feeling, again, based on...
He just had a hunch. Trump had a hunch based on what his son-in-law was telling him.
on fact, that Iran was going...
You really can't make it up, people. Now, of course, everything that happened on the face of this earth is for the greater good of those who love God. We are not running around afraid. We know what's going on in the world. We are well informed, and we have taken our feelings out of it. And they may be operating in desperation and fear, but we ain't going to operate that way. You know, at the end of the day, we're going to serve our Creator and do what we need to do. You know, the biggest question right now is how many other countries are going to get involved. You know, several scenarios could play out. You know, if Iran were to disrupt major oil routes in the Persian Gulf, like they're talking about with these mines, particularly through the Strait of Hormuz, you know, that could bring international powers into the situation. I believe that's what they were trying to do. You know, countries that depend heavily on that route, including European nations, Asia's economy. Today, you know, they need those shipping lanes. Then it could become a global energy supply issue. That's when it's like, okay, we're going to have to
strike the United States.
Pardon me, we're going to have to all get involved at that point. You know, at this point, the war is entering a very uncertain phase. You got the risk of miscalculations that increases every single day. One strike, then there's a retaliation. All it takes is one unexpected event, and it can change the scale of everything, where they're going to be using larger missiles. You know, for now, the world's watching very closely. But one thing is becoming clear, brothers and sisters, the conflict is no longer just something that's only happening over there across the pond, man. You know, the consequences are beginning to ripple close to home.
It was going to strike.
It's beginning to ripple close to home, where the threat of this thing hitting America is very possible. So, you know, we got to move accordingly. Of course, I'm not going to wrap y'all up too long. You know, I've been keeping y'all up to date. And every day that I see as an important day of the war coverage, I'm going to jump on this and explain to y'all what's going on when I see something that we really should be discussing. And today was one of those days. But, you know, stay in your word, stay in the truth, and, you know, do the necessary things you have to do. Keep your head on a swivel. Of course, we got more material coming. I want to thank each and every one of y'all. Make sure, you know, y'all share this material. This is some very thorough coverage. So I want to thank y'all for viewing. Support the work at HebrewCare.com. Get your natural products. Support NewBreedGlobalTruth.com and support the Cash App, which is Nubreed Global Truth. All your contributions and donations are appreciative to the work. Thank y'all. Y'all have a blessed one. Peace.